Good weekend, citizen. It's Poddington here with your curated news looking at the week of the 25th of March, brought to you by the Ministry of Truth. Today we are looking at the new major order against the automaton threat, and also the release of new support weapons to help achieve this. Helldivers are super soldiers that went through the toughest of training and earned the best military support to complete their objectives. They answered the question of, do you have the courage to protect your home? And they have proven again and again that they are worthy of the cape on their backs. Given some autonomy, Helldivers use their experience to best achieve operations supporting local militia and Super Earth armed forces. This week, however, proved that the freedom offered to our super citizens have started to affect the freedom of our society. Malevolent Creek has already been recorded in the annals of history as a dark time for Helldivers, as the location for the biggest loss of life since the first operation there in February. With the Terminid advance on the eastern fringes, the tactical decision was made for Helldivers to focus on thwarting that advance, with smaller units staying in automaton territory, interrupting supply lines, and completing hit-and-run attacks. With Terminids proving much easier to take down, fresh recruits were able to get real-world experience that would prepare them for the inevitable return to Malevolent Creek. The Ministry of Technology was also given more time to adapt existing weapons and stratagems to fare better against automatons, and this led to the development and manufacture of the EXO-45 Patriot and cutting-edge war bond that aimed to bridge the difference between Terminid and automaton operations. With fewer of our forces on the western border, the automatons were able to advance, and with sympathetic traitors sending them our plans, the automatons moved on to Tien Quan, where the Patriot exosuit was being manufactured. Helldivers were able to drive automatons back, and the Patriot was rewarded, but unlike the Terminids, it was clear that the automatons were not single-minded and were able to plan and adapt. With the success of Tien Quan, attention moved to gaining ground against the automatons, but the bulk of SEAF forces were still in the east, where Terminid operations were ramped up to allow the successful deployment and activation of Terminid control systems. Effectively drawing a line using barrier planets, the Terminid threat is once again contained, so eyes have shifted to the automatons, liberating planets under their control and returning to Malevolent Creek. Whilst the TC systems were being deployed, recon units on Dropnir captured automaton drones. The Ministry of Secrets was able to retrieve data from these drones and learn of a new plan by the automatons called the Reclamation. Details of this plan are not known, but code within multiple automaton prisoners refer to this mysterious plan and the planet of Troost in the Trigon sector. With supply lines open to Troost and the release of new support weapons, SEAF super destroyers arrived to liberate the planet and capture the deep space comms array. Phase 1 was completed within 48 hours, and so keeping up momentum, Phase 2 had Helldivers tasked with taking out the factories on Tibet in the Severin system by first liberating Ubania. This was complicated, however, with automatons launching a surprise attack on Dropnir. Dropnir is the key to access the Severin system, so losing this planet would not only halt the march to Ubania and ultimately Malevolent Creek, but also cut off forces already operating in the region. News of this surprise attack reached our forces too late, however, with only 20% of available SEAF forces able to mount a defense. With nearly half of all Helldivers fighting to free Ubania and the rest on Terminid cleanup operations, Dropnir fell and the route to Tibet was made even more difficult. Whilst there were victories, Super Earth High Command responded by saying that celebrations need to be earned to be meaningful, and the victory was not earned this day. Forces are now regrouping around Tien Quan to retake Dropnir, and whilst the fires of redemption are not burning as bright as they did before Troost, the fire is still raging, and Malevolent Creek will be liberated. That is all for your dose of curated news brought to you by the Ministry of Truth. Show your support by liking and subscribing, and we will have more next week. And now for your local news.